What is going on, everyone? Leon checking in, and here we are once again with the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, and today we're reviewing design and functionality. Now, I initially had mixed feelings about these. First, we had the media. They were all saying that the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro were a copy of the Apple Airpods, and I was never a fan of those because of the stem appearance. I thought it just looked honestly dorky. And I even considered sticking to my Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro because they were a bit more minimal and they still worked very well, minus the peel-in that had been occurring on the outside of those earbuds. But then there was hope. We had Samsung state that the stem design was used actually to improve performance, which I could get behind because that's, of course, logical. But then Samsung took it one step further. And they did something that I wasn't expecting, and that is the whole design. So we've got curved elements, we have angular elements, but we have an LED blade. And as soon as I heard about this, I was sold. I mean, what we're talking about here is a gamer aesthetic that's pulled out of the playbook that we weren't expecting, and it's very exciting. So let's talk about what's going on here. So first things first, I want to mention that I have a Spigen lock fit case installed on my Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, and that's just a bit of a disclaimer because the Galaxy Buds case doesn't actually look like this. Again, this is a case for the case. And just a side mention here, I do have this wrist strap by Ringke installed. It just looks cool and it gives you a bit more confidence when carrying the kit. But it is a bit of a shame to have a case installed on the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro case because that case itself has a very sleek modern design. It's got a pebble design element and it's got the clear lid which allows you to see right through it so that you can get a clear view of the Galaxy Buds themselves. So this whole uninterrupted view just creates a futuristic aesthetic. So here I have the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 Pro in silver, and removal from the case is going to be fairly easy. Again, I want to place an emphasis on the design of the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. And once again, they are angular, and that means they're going to be stable when placed on a surface like you see here. There is no rocking around really. Again, they're just flat on one side, so easily place them on a surface and they're not going to tip over. Just something small, but I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of cool. On top of this, we do have some curves on what I would say are the earbud heads, as well as a discrete shark fin design, I would say. Very minimal, but just a nice little touch. And then, of course, we have those LED blade lights, which give this all a futuristic package. And interesting enough, we have color coding on the case itself, as well as the earbuds. That way there's no confusing them when you go to put them inside the case. And as for putting them in the case, it's going to be as easy as taking them out. Very straightforward here. Now I will say, because I was used to the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, which are a bit more minimal, I didn't have to worry so much about aligning the stems inside the case. That was my initial, I would say, hiccup. Not a huge problem, but I did notice when I was getting used to these. But after getting used to them, placing them inside, it becomes natural. As for the earbud tips, they are removable. This is a huge plus if you're looking to remove the earbud tips simply to clean them, or maybe you want to try all the other sizes that ship in the packaging like what I have here. Now I will say I was initially concerned when pulling the earbud tips off. They do require a bit of effort and it did feel like I was going to tear them. And this was before I actually seen the news stories of the earbud tips ripping as people tried to pull them off. Now there is an actual earbud tip removal process by Samsung you should check out, just to prevent any possibility or reduce the possibility of ripping the earbud tips. But overall, I haven't had any issues yet. My earbud tips haven't ripped. And this is just great, again, if you want to even just clean the earbud tips, which I recommend just for overall cleanliness, but also to prevent an ear infection. Next, we have fitment. Now, I did go to the largest earbud tips, And I initially thought that fitment would be an issue here because of these stems. Now, again, I'm coming from the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. They're a much more minimal design. And I thought for some reason that these stems would get in the way, but they actually don't. And fitment is actually very similar to the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, which I found surprising. And fitment is actually secure here. Now, when I do my runs, I run for at least 2 miles at a time, sometimes up to 5 miles. And occasionally I'll even do anywhere between 5 to 10 miles. Now, I haven't done that long with the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro yet, but I have done 2-mile runs and have had no major issues with these coming out. There was only one instance, and I think that was only because my ears and everything started getting sweaty, and that kind of just increased the chances that they would fall out. But again, that only happened once here. And then we have in-ear aesthetics. Now, I will say, if these looked just like the Apple Airpods, I would still say these are not very attractive. They're kind of silly looking, but because Samsung went with this angular design that has that minimal shark fin on it, and we've got those LED blade lights, I think these actually look really cool. They have a gamer-like aesthetic. It's very futuristic, and I think the whole package just looks good whether you're wearing both earbuds or if you're just wearing one, say, as like a headset. And lastly, we have controls, which are customizable. So I'll be running through them as I have them set up on my Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. And first, we're going to have pause and play, which are performed by squeezing the stem once. So one time squeeze will either pause or play, and then another squeeze will either pause or play, depending on which situation you're in. And then we're going to have move into the next track, which is done with 2 squeezes, or the previous track, which is done with 3 squeezes. And then we have ANC, which is done by pressing and holding on a stem, which either turns it on or off depending on the state that you're in, or pressing and holding on it again to, again, either turn it on or off depending on the state that you're in. Now, I will say I did have a challenge with one of the controls initially, and that was volume, which is done by swiping either down to reduce volume or swiping up to increase the volume. And what I was initially trying to do, because again, I'm thinking back to the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, I'm not really coordinating properly because these are a new design, and I was initially trying to use just my pointer finger and swipe up on the ear stem, which does work, but it requires perfect coordination. So what I found to be actually helpful is I take my index finger and I place it right here on the earbud, kind of like the top curved portion, and then it helps me position my thumb on the stem, and then it also helps stabilize the earbud so I don't feel like I'm going to push it out of my ear. And then I can swipe down on the stem with my thumb or swipe up on the stem with my thumb. And this works very well. So if you're looking for a volume control tip and you were trying to use just your pointer, try to use your pointer to support the earbud and then use your thumb on the stem either down or up. Again, this works very well, and since I've been doing this, my volume control has been very, very good. So the question is, how do the controls of the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro compare to the controls of the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro? And I will say the huge thing that I noticed is that I haven't had any accidental triggers with the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro compared to the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. And I think that's because this whole control system requires actual squeezing instead of touching. So one situation that I like to think about where I get a lot of accidental triggers with the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro would be when I'm doing a run and I go to wipe my forehead and maybe my shoulder would touch the earbud and it would pause the music or play the music or change the volume or anything like that. And I would also notice with the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, when I was just accumulating a lot of sweat and the earbuds would get sweaty, this would kind of mess with the controls. And sometimes when I'd actually go to do a control, it wouldn't work because it's covered in sweat. I found the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro to be a lot more stable in those situations. I didn't have any issues, none reported yet, where I tried to do a command and it didn't work. I think I did have an instance where it was starting to get a little too sweaty, and then I had issues with the controls. But I think that's kind of expected in a sweaty situation. But I think overall, these have been much more accurate with the controls in comparison to the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. And then just a slight mention on ANC. I think this does depend on the tips that you use. Now, I'm using the larger tips. When I went with the original tips, which were the medium, I felt like the ANC wasn't as good. But I think now that I put the larger earbud tips on the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, I think the ANC should be improved. There was a little bit of bleed in of environmental sound, but again, I was using the medium size, and I think I should see some improvement now that I have the larger size installed. But overall, ANC works pretty good. I'll have to trial the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro to understand which ones might be better. But again, very good here. Very close to the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro, if I had to say so. So overall, I'm very impressed with the Samsung Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, which is a relief because, again, I was initially skeptical because of the stem design. Once again, we had the media saying that this was a copycat of the Apple Airpods, and I kind of started thinking that, and I kind of became a bit hesitant. But then we seen the design, and it was a relief as well, because even though we have some curved elements like the Airpods, we have these angular elements, these edges that allow the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro to be placed on a flat surface stable. And then we've got other little things. So we've got the little shark fin there on the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro themselves, as well as that LED blade light, which just gives a futuristic gamer aesthetic. Which, by the way, we can turn on when we hold both earbuds and press and hold the stems on both of them at the same exact time. That's going to turn on those LED blade lights, and we can do the same thing to turn them off. But overall, I think it just looks really cool when they're turned on. And again, this is much cooler than the Apple Airpods. I wish we would talk more about that. I don't know how that's not being covered in the media, but these look like something out of Tron. They look like something out of the future. And AirPods, they just can't touch them. So that is it for today's content. As always, thanks for watching, and may the universe flow in your favor. And until next time, Leon checking out.